Says we're broadcasting.
And Kyle, you are good to go.
Awesome. All right. Welcome everybody. Thank you so very much. We are, man, is this already episode number 3 of The Blind Spot, where we talk with blind athletes reaching excellence? Just a couple of quick notes, you guys. USABA, we are celebrating our 45th anniversary this year. So be sure to stay tuned to our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those social media platforms that you know and love. We're going to be putting up lots of content throughout every day, every week, including our 45 for 45 weekly anniversary series. So be sure to tune in to Facebook for that. And of course, we launched The Blind Spot just a few short weeks ago, and we're already on episode number 3. And I am just very, very, very excited to talk to our guest today. She is quite the accomplished athlete. We were chatting just before we went live about how she stays pretty busy. So I am really excited to welcome in Miss Shawn Cheshire. Shawn, welcome to The Blind Spot. How's it going?
Hi, Kyle. It's everything's going great, one day at a time.
For sure. So Shawn, you've been involved in, various forms of, athletics for a while now, but go ahead and just give the audience just a quick little background. Like, how did you lose your sight, and when did you start, getting involved in in cycling and Nordic skiing and all the amazing things that you now do?
Yeah, I was working as a paramedic in the back of an ambulance. I don't remember the accident, but from what my EMT partner and a student that I had with me that day, I got knocked off my feet, fell back, hit my head, knocked myself out, sustained a closed head injury. I ended up being almost blind. I was severely legally blind with like less than 5 degrees central vision, no peripheral, diplopia. So I saw I saw 2 different things in each. So one image in one eye and something else in the other. So it really made me sick for a while. And in retrospect, I'm really an example of too many concussions, too many closed head injuries throughout the course of my life. And I was in the military, so I'm sure that did not help. But I think that, after the injury, I'm pretty sure the first 2 years I was in denial of losing my vision. And with my medical background, I think I had this mindset that if I went to occupational therapy, physical therapy, I did all the right things, my brain was going to regenerate, and, I would be back to where I was. And it never even was a thought process that I was actually losing my vision and that I would be blind one day. So within 2 years, I lost all usable vision. And now when they, do medical tests, they say I have no brain activity from my optic nerve to my bilateral occipital lobe. So I nosedived into depression, and everything was scary. I had so much fear. And I think between being depressed and being scared, I hid in my house for, a certain amount of time. And it was really, as I made that pivot into hiding and being immobilized by fear, to having movement in my life and discovering a purpose, it was really these people, these group of people around me that believed in me more than I believed in myself at that time. And because initially all I could think about was not living. So I attempted to take my life twice. And the recreational therapist at the local VA in Syracuse, New York, along with the low vision clinic there, my mobility instructor, they just kept pushing me and pushing me and pushing me and to try to get interested in something. And they teamed me up with Team Red, White, and Blue. And it's like once I started having movement, I didn't know I could run and be blind, which was pretty exhilarating for me, at that time. I started becoming curious and ended up at a camp where I learned how to cross-country ski on roller skis. I'd never skied before when I could see. And that kind of just led me into learning how to ski on the snow and shoot the audio rifle and do biathlon. And I loved it. I think the competitive aspect of sports is really what hooked me back then.
Okay. So, I mean, it's obviously 2021 now. So, when did your injury occur, and when, and so, but yeah, when did your injury occur? And you said you spent 2 years basically in denial, and then when did you first go to that Nordic camp?
So my injury was December 29 of 09. Okay. And so by the fall of 2012, I was unable to see.
Gotcha.
My first camp for biathlon, I think, oh my goodness, I'm so bad at dates. It was in the fall. I don't remember if it was 2012 or 2013.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But the reason we bring that up is that you had already had a successful career in the military, and then working as a EMT paramedic, and then you went. You lost your sight and you lost your vision. In kind of the prime of your in the prime of your life. So that I think that really appeals or is fascinating to a lot of our audience. Because you're pushing yourself, and you're trying to find your independence again and all that.
Mm-hmm.
In your 30s, and so just talk to us a little bit through how that was for you. Because you basically had to create a whole new identity, and I think a lot of people find themselves in that circumstance a lot of the time.
Yeah, I just remember being, I still am to this day, like so sad. And, I was a single parent and working full time, and I put myself through school. And so I was Miss Independent, Miss Self-Sufficient. And then I find myself in this position where, whether I like it or not, there are just some certain things that I need assistance with. And whether that's some sort of electronic device, some sort of a reader or a person, it was a hard place for me to get to be able to ask for help and not feel like here I'm, in my mid 30s, and it's almost, you lose so much freedom in independence with that freedom, or you lose so much independence that you feel like you don't have the freedom that you had before. And it's like, I'm an adult, but yet I feel like I've just regressed back into being a kid, where it's not like you're asking for permission, but you have to ask people to help you, or is it okay if you take me to the store, or, help me organize my clothes, or it was really hard. I hated it in the beginning. And I think that I let that sadness just kind of overtake a lot of my thought process, to where I kind of really focused on all the negative for a while, and just and I literally, it was the perfect example of how fear just really immobilized me. And then it really was a decision on my part. I mean, I was angry and frustrated and unhappy, but I didn't really like who I was becoming. And so I had to rethink this. And, how can I live a life and be proud of who I am? And then, like, what does that look like? How do I strive for independence, and freedom in my life so that I live happy and I'm not overwhelmed by the loss and the sadness and the frustrations? And so, I mean, that wasn't an easy place to get to, and it took me a little while to do that. Um, but I think really I had to find something to challenge myself to kind of make that, because it's one thing to have a thought process, right? And it's one thing to be suppressed by these really deep, hard emotions. And, when you feel helpless and trapped, it's hard to figure out how to have movement in that. And so for me, the challenge was, I'll never forget it. It's when Mike Durner said, I was at a cycling camp and I didn't know about the Paralympics. And he said, you could race, a bike and race against the best in the world. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, the Olympics. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, you know about the Paralympics? And I'm like, no. And he's like, yeah, these are people with all kinds of disabilities. They're the most elite para athletes in the world, and you can race and be an elite athlete and have a disability. And I was like, what? So it was like 3.5 years from Rio. And I just remember him saying, like, realistically, because I'd never been a cyclist, I needed to train for Tokyo. And I was like, no, I got 3.5 years, but total out of ignorance, because I didn't know any better, because I've never been an athlete like this. I just like, oh no, I got 3.5 years. I could totally do this. And that was the hook that I needed. Like that was what gave me an opportunity to make action, to make that change in my life, to go from the sadness and the loss, and the feeling trapped and frustrated, and changing that, and kind of feeling like I took my life back into my own hands.
I love that, because I think that we all need that catalyst, or that hook that gets us going back in the right direction. And it sounds like to me that you really, like, you found that once you could learn to ask people for help, and you surrounded yourself with such a solid team, that you were able to then find your way to sport. And my gosh, guys, like, I mean, Shawn, you've done a lot. Like, we said earlier, you had you kind of found your way to Nordic skiing a little bit. And around the same time, you're getting into cycling and running. You're you've done a lot in just this short little span of 9 or 10 years. Go ahead and brag on yourself, and let the audience know, like, what exactly that because I know a little bit about that 3.5 year journey that you took to get to Rio. But go ahead and let people know, like, because you came from not being an athlete to being in your in your mid 30s to being one of the best athletes in the world. Like, just walk us through that journey real quick.
I didn't know any better to like doubt myself. I mean, really out of ignorance, because I just didn't. I think in this situation, me not knowing, like, truly, living in that world of being an elite athlete probably played to my advantage, because I didn't have any negative self-talk. I just totally believed in myself. I was like, nope, I can do it. 3.5 years, I could totally do it. And then it was just about the hard work that you put in every day. And having that commitment to get on a trainer, because we spend, as being blind, I'm on my trainer more than I'm ever on the tandem. And it's just, I knew every day that I was working towards something. And every time I showed up to a race, it was really interesting because I never really got nervous. I mean, I had the nervous butterflies because I was excited and I wanted to do well. But for me, it was, okay, I've worked really hard to this point. Now I get to see what all that training has done. And then walking away from this, I'll know what I need to work on. And so it was just, having these things to train for, whether it was nationals or a World Cup or a team selection events, it was just this drive to prove to myself that I could do it. And I believed that the way that I could do it was by, committing to the process, the journey of it. And so that's what I did. I kind of just I focused on that. But what was, in retrospect, I think back now, I was so new to being blind. I was also like trying to navigate the social aspect of, now being a blind person. And and so it was awkward. And, there were some really hard, learning points in that as well. But man, the connections that I've made along the way, I feel like as a blind person, when you do when you do these things I feel like there are special people in this world that really make truly unique guides. And when you make those connections, it's just, they're lifelong, and there's so much value there with that. And I know you said you wanted me to brag on myself, but I don't even really, I could tell you all the things that I've done and why I do what I do, but I don't know if I consider it. It's more of, me keeping the momentum of the sadness at bay and, fighting that feeling of feeling trapped and helpless and fighting for freedom and independence. So, yeah.
Hey, I trust me, I get it. For our audience, if all you guys got to do is just Google Shawn Cheshire, and you'll know, how many medals she's won, how many national championships, all that stuff. Pretty incredible stuff. But you've represented the U.S. at the Paralympics in Rio. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you've also competed at the Winter Games as well?
No, I did.
Not yet.
Competed at a World Cup in Canmore, Canada for biathlon and cross country skiing. Now, I think that the only other international competition I did was I competed for the USA team for the Invictus Games, for the first Invictus Games in 2014 when they were in London. Yeah, represented the US Army.
Gotcha.
And that. It was so interesting. I was the only blind woman there. Like out of hundreds of athletes, it kind of blew my mind.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think that I hope to model behavior that I encourage, all, blind and visually impaired, and especially women, to get out and do some things. You just feel so good.
Yeah. So, you've referenced it several times about, the team around you, and, the connections that we make with our guides, and, our O&M and rehab specialists and all that. Like, who would you say has been, one of the bigger influences in, both your own personal life as well as your sporting life?
Ooh, well, so my best friend Jessie Crandall has done many crazy things with me and continues to do them with me.
Yep.
I think that having that kind of a person that has earned that kind of trust in your life is it's huge, just so valuable. Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah, if I had to pick one person, that's probably who I would pick in this moment.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, you've competed all over the world, in multiple sports. Do you have just like a race memory or an athletic memory that kind of stands out above all the others? That is just like, you're like, man, when I think back, like this has been my favorite.
Um, so I love racing a tandem. I love the track. Like the track just makes me giggle. But I will say, when I did the double crossing of the Grand Canyon, and I'm not a hiker, I did that with really no hiking experience. I
Right.
have to tell you that when I completed that, and I remember coming out of the canyon, I was so emotional because I couldn't believe I did that. I gained so much self-confidence with that feat that it did change things for me. Absolutely change things for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the rim to rim to rim of in the Grand Canyon that is an endurance bucket list item that just so many people have, and the fact that that you went and did it, took a break, it seemed like you had taken a small break from cycling, and then like all of a sudden you show up and you're like, hey, rim to rim to rim, and you do it in just over 24 hours. I mean, do you think that is your biggest success, or like what would you say that like that obviously is a massive memory for you. Would you consider that one of your bigger athletic successes, or would you put Rio up there? What would you say is one of your bigger successes?
Oh man, I don't know. That's such a hard one because
Yep,
I feel like with everything that I do, I learn something about myself, so it makes it impactful
for
and
sure.
valuable. But I would say that my, and I'm not saying that my racing the tandem career is over,
Mhm.
but I have to say that I worked really hard, and
Yeah,
that was um that was a big feat, I believe, in 3.5 years
absolutely.
to to do that. So that I think if I had to answer that question, that's probably what I would say.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you've obviously had, in any athlete's career, or, in our personal careers and all that, like you've got setbacks and, and all that.
Mhm.
Um, do you have like a personal strategy, to bounce back, or how to claw your way out of, a certain failure, or, just do you have any tips for anyone on, like, when you have a setback or a failure, how do you get out of it and get back on the track of successful,
Oh
um,
yeah.
woman?
I have an answer for that. I believe in my experience that I learn more from my failures and my losses than I do in my wins and successes. And so I really try to be um I really try to be present with myself and say, okay, what in this can I learn to move forward different, and have like a different lesson or a different perspective, or I don't know. I always just feel like when I'm faced with a failure or a loss, that is there is a teaching moment in there.
Mhm.
And I feel like it helps to keep me grounded as well.
Yep.
And the so I struggle with calling them like failures or losses,
Right.
because I really feel like it's when we quit, in my opinion, is where the failure is, because we just quitting is, that's like giving up on yourself. And if you don't show up for yourself, then who's going to show up for you? Like, you have to show up for yourself first and foremost, because you can rely on you more than you can rely on anyone else.
Yep.
So to me, the failure would be in just giving up and quitting. And so I would just encourage you never to give up on yourself. I'm of the belief that self-belief is a superpower, because that is truly where I am present with everything that I do, new or whether I've been training for, 7 years to do it. That self-belief is where it all comes from. And if you can believe in yourself, you literally can do anything you set your mind to.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, you and I get along really well in that regard because I have, I have the same mindset. I often tell people, the reason, most people don't succeed in what they want to do is because they don't believe it's possible. And you're a living embodiment of that, So, kudos to you, tip of the hat.
Yeah, if you look, I am making an effort to model that behavior in my life. And one of the things is that I hate it when someone says that I can't do something because I'm blind. And
Yep.
so my goal is to try to do as many things as I possibly can that people say that blind people can't do. So they
Yep.
can't say that anymore, to make way
Yep.
for everybody else who's blind and visually impaired to go out and do whatever they want without people limiting them just because they're blind and visually impaired.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, you've done a lot to this point. What's next?
Oh, I'm already, I am a crazy person. And just to segue into what we were just talking about. So on May 17th, I have been prepping for this. I'm going to attempt with at least 2-sided guides all the time to ride a single bike across the country from Florence, Oregon to Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Oh, wow.
Right. And then once I do it, fingers crossed, no one will ever be able to say a blind person can't do that.
Talk about.
And it has been quite the adventure in just trying to figure out the setup on the bikes, like the two-way radios, the big old speaker on a bike rack on the back of the bike to follow sound, which I'm thankful for my biathlon cross-country skiing training, because that's how you ski race when you're blind, is you follow sound. So my guide was always skiing in front of me with a speaker. And so it's two-way radios, a speaker with sound. There's mirrors on the bike on front. Everybody that's riding together can talk to each other. We'll have a follow car, an RV.
Wow.
So yeah, and it's just, I've been practicing, and most days it's just so mentally exhausting for me to be that focused for so long. And I just did like 5 days in a row. And I think the longest day I rode was 65 miles. And I was like so emotional because I was just so brain dead. I was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? I can't believe I'm going to try this.
I can tell you from personal experience, just, riding from West Coast to East Coast as a member of a relay team on a tandem, that was exhausting mentally. As a downhill skier, I know the mental drain. But how long do you think that is going to, what are your estimates on how long is that going to take? That's a 4,000 mile.
Oh, so yeah, about 3,900 miles. So we're going to start May 17th and hoping to finish around July 10th. But we're really coming into this flexible and just prepared for anything. And if, before I get on the bike, totally fried and put myself and other people at risk, we'll take a day. So I'll be flexible, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I think that's kind of the fun of it, is that it's unknown.
Yeah. Well, when I did the Grand Canyon, I didn't know I could do that. I had no idea that I could actually do that. So like when I finished it, I was just like, wow, I can't believe I just did that.
Wow, that's amazing. I had no idea that you were planning on doing that. So
Well, it's interesting. I ended up with a tear in my left labrum in my hip, and so I've been doing rehab and stem cell injection and all of that, and so I wasn't going to race this year, just to give myself an opportunity to heal, and then I came up with, I'm like, I'm ready for a new adventure, and this is what I'm in the middle of.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Always game for a new adventure.
Yes. If you want an adventure, you call me. I'm there.
Be careful. You throw something out like that on Facebook Live, and you're gonna have people blowing up your.
I forget that we were live. I didn't even realize there was going to be video. I was thinking this was a podcast because I'm sitting here in my my sports bra and my netted base layer for cycling, because I'm going to go out for a ride here shortly. So I dressed for the occasion.
hey, that's the best way. I think that's the best way to do it. I mean, you know, it's we want real people here. Like, you don't need to get fancy for us. You know, all of us here, we're real people, and you know, you really embody, you know, the USABA mindset of, like, you were empowered to, you know, go out and try stuff, and like you're willing to push your mind and your body to all new levels, no matter you know how old or young you are. And I think, you know, you in particular, I mean, you really are appealing to our fans and our audience, and so I know I'm having a fun time listening to you talk us through all of your stuff. Yeah. So
well, I was excited that you reached out to me.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate you coming on. But so let's go ahead and launch into, I like to do a little lightning round. Just some fun, some fun lighthearted questions.
Okay.
So, you know, just, you know, first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
You know, so let's fire away. So do you have a favorite post-race or training treat?
Post-race or training treat? I like my scratch recovery. Yeah.
Scratch recovery. Okay.
Yeah. I should have said a Twinkie.
We'll put that down.
Okay.
Twinkie. Love it. Are you a dog or a cat person?
I am a dog person.
Awesome. Do you have dogs?
I have I have a guide dog. His name is Nick. Beautiful male German Shepherd.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. What's your kind of favorite music, or do you have a favorite band?
I love jazz.
Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's a different one.
Yeah.
All right. You coffee or tea drinker?
Before brain injury, tea. After brain injury, espresso.
Espresso.
Yeah.
Nice. Getting all fancy on us there, Shawn.
I know.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Neither. Steak.
Neither.
I'm not a sweet person. I'm not that nice.
No.
I would give me salt. I'll take salt before vanilla chocolate.
Okay, salt. All right. You're more of a savory kind of gal.
Yes.
I can dig that.
Okay.
You sparkling or plain water then?
Oh, bubbly all the way.
There you go. I've got a bubbly off here just to my left that I've been sipping on. So
I'll take it to the gym. I drink bubbly at the gym. That's how much I love bubbly.
Love it. That's awesome. You sleep in or sleep late, or sleep in or, you know, up early? Sorry.
I go to bed late and sleep a little bit late.
Okay.
But it depends on your definition of late.
I mean, you know,
8 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, for me that's late, but for you know, I'm guessing for you know, some of our younger audience, they're like, man, that's like, I'm not up before noon.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. Do you have a favorite non-sporting activity?
cooking.
Cooking.
Yes.
What kind of stuff do you like to cook?
I love Mexican food, but
Okay.
I love, now that I feel brave in the kitchen, I love finding new recipes and baking. But I like making enchiladas, homemade chicken parm, homemade pizza, stuff like that. Yeah,
Darn it, you're making me hungry.
I know. Me too.
So what's on the what are you cooking up tonight for dinner?
We're having chicken stir fry with veggies.
Yum,
Mhm.
yum, yum,
Yeah.
yum. Where do you live and train, by the way? Yeah,
So
now
I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida right now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. So is that, did you, because I know you've kind of been all over the place. You
Mhm.
said you were up in Syracuse, and then I thought that I saw that you were in Texas at one point, or Minnesota, or you kind of been, you just miss travel.
I usually am. Last year kind of put a kibosh on that. I was in
Okay.
California for a year for
Okay.
2019.
Okay.
I actually came back to Florida just before the whole COVID thing shut down everything.
Right.
Another place I'm going to go check out for a year is Flagstaff at some point, just
Oh,
to
it's
check
a
it
beautiful
out.
place.
Yeah.
Beautiful place. You'll love it.
Yeah. So I like to check out new places.
Awesome. Cool
Yeah.
stuff. Cool stuff. And then, I like to ask this question of everybody, and I'm really, really interested to hear your answer. How do you, Shawn Cheshire, how do you want to be remembered?
Oh, wow. Well, three things came to mind.
Okay.
And the first was that I never gave up, like I never quit.
Mhm.
And the other two was that I modeled a life of loving kindness towards other people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And I do actually think that we have had a couple of audience questions. If I may call on my producer extraordinaire, Miss Kat. Did we get any questions that came in while we were chatting here?
So we did not have a question, but it looks like our friend Greg Miller reached out and wanted to know more about your ride across America. But of course, Jesse Crandall already jumped in and let Greg know how to get involved. So Jesse stole your thunder a little bit there, Shawn, but he got Greg's
I'll make
question
sure.
answered.
Yeah, thanks.
But I mean, let's go ahead. That's actually a good segue, though, Shawn. So so people that are interested in following your ride across America, or just following you in general, what is the best way for us to to keep tabs on you and shamelessly stalk you?
Yeah, so I suck at social media, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I hope one day that someone will help me so it is so much better than what it is. I don't ever really think about it.
Yeah.
But I have a Facebook. I have a Facebook page called Shawn's Blind Adventures.
Okay.
And what we'll do when we do the ride across the country is I'll use a Garmin InReach Mini. So
Okay.
we'll post a link that literally every time you click on the link, it will show you where we are in the country.
Okay.
And we'll also post, I think we're going to end up posting our route. I have to check because I mean, we want connection. We want to have connection out there, and anybody that comes to ride, especially someone like, Greg Miller, he could guide because, he's like tandem. He's like blind friendly candy for us. He could come
Oh,
out and
yeah.
give Jesse Crandall some a break out there with guiding.
Yep.
But I think that either choosingtosee.org, my Facebook, or Shawn's Blind Adventures Facebook page is where we're kind of updating all the information as far as the route and how they can get a hold of us. Anybody that's interested they can just call me too, or send me an email.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
best way to just, so is what was that website again?
Oh, choosing to see
Choosing to see
.org. Yeah, choosingtosee.org.
Okay.
Jesse says he just put it in the chat.
Oh,
And
perfect. Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse. Shawn's Blind Adventure page on Facebook.
Okay.
And my Facebook, which is Shawn Cheshire. And we'll post that link, and we will be updating throughout the entire. We will be ramping it up soon to build into it. We leave May 17th.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Awesome. Super exciting. And do you have any just last minute shout outs to any, I know that you've been supported and sponsored by a lot of great organizations in the past, and just any particular shout outs to them, or any special guides that come to mind right away.
I mean, everybody that's working with me to arrange this ride are doing it volunteer basis, and I'm so grateful to them. I've done things with the USABA, and I've done some things with what was DSUSA, which is Move United now, I think.
Yep.
I don't, my list would be long. I think everybody that knows that I appreciate them knows that I appreciate them. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would do a shout out to Gina, and she's a filmmaker, and she's been a really, we've become friends, and she's been really amazing in helping me plan this ride.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I'm super pumped for your ride. Man, making me itch to go finish putting my tandem together and get out this weekend, now that we've got some good weather in Colorado to ride.
Awesome.
So, oh man, awesome, Shawn. Well, thank you so very much for taking the time. I know you're crazy busy, and you've got you're getting ready to go ride and train yourself, but thanks once again for joining us on the Blind Spot. You are definitely a blind athlete that has reached excellence, and you're definitely just going above and beyond, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you.
Thank you, Kyle. I'm excited myself, but you are pretty amazing yourself, so I think it takes one to know one.
Well, appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. Thanks for being here. All right, you guys. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning into the Blind Spot, where we talk with blind athletes reaching excellence. Go give Shawn's Facebook page a follow. Check out choosingtosee.org. Feel free to, if you want to get involved with Shawn's adventures, reach out to her through, either Facebook or her email on the website. And as always, remember to like our Facebook page and all of our Instagram, so that you can keep up with what we're doing here at USABA in this Paralympic Games year, as well as our 45th anniversary year. We're so pumped and excited, and we hope that you guys will join us for the next Blind Spot coming up in just a couple of weeks. Take it easy, y'all.